Please do not get in my way. You cannot drive in my lane. Tires is burning the paint. You don't have nothing to say. This is how legends are made. I know I got what it takes.
I will get the latest Federal Reserve rate decision and updated summary of the SEP, followed by Fed Chair Powell later. In terms of see, is board expected to keep rates 4.5%, as highlighted by the latest Reuters poll, showing 103 out of 105 economists surveyed expecting this outcome, with the outline to within this poll, 50 is forecast ahead.
I got the fuel in my veins, trust me, I'm making a name. We are not one and the same, I am on top of the game. I cut out the line on my brakes, and that's why the drive is insane. Heart of a champ, adrenaline rushes is numbing the pain. I'm too competitive, I like the narrative, I don't know best in the league. Who you comparing with, that isn't competitive, top of the throne, it is me. How you moving slow when it's speed? I just been bringing the heat. I just been bringing the fire.
Got FOMC coming out here in a little bit.
I just been bringing the fire.
Hopefully everybody's having a good day.
They know that I'm bringing the. They thought I was underdog. I did not fear not one of y'all. They thought I was underdog. I did not fear not one of y'all. They thought I was underdog.
All right, let's kill that music. Well, we can turn. Let me get situated here for a second.
I'm too competitive. I like the narrative. I don't know best in the league. Who you comparing with?
Do that. Do that.
It is me. How you moving slow when it's speed? I just been bringing the heat. I just been bringing the fire.
All right. What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing on this fantastic Thursday? Or today is Wednesday? Yes, Wednesday. Today's Fed Day, so it's Wednesday. Tomorrow, markets will be closed for Juneteenth. So, I mean, we're not expecting anything major. Bitcoin is down. The current analysis on Bitcoin is down. So, a lot of people, for some reason, not for some reason, but a lot of people are still very confused as to how I get my biases. We're going to discuss that really quick while we have about 8 minutes here until we get the news. And the news should be absolutely nothing. We should have no news. Like, yeah, let's go ahead and refresh this. But yeah, there's a 99.9% chance that they're not going to do anything. So the only way that this should even impact the markets relatively would be if there was a surprise cut. We're not looking for rate hikes. We're in a rate cutting regime, a rate cutting cycle. So we're only looking for rate cuts. The Fed is not going to do a 180-degree turn from that policy unless something bad happens, like say an unemployment spike or something like that. Would they change what they're looking at doing? Everything is working out perfectly. We're in a rate cutting cycle. They just are not cutting as quick as some people think they should. And of course, you have other analysts that assume they should not be cutting. So obviously, they are going to continue to cut until something bad happens or until something good happens. Either way, that's what we're looking forward to today. Big fat nothing burger. Bitcoin for the last 2-3 days have been bearish. Here's your daily time frame. Let's go ahead and kill some of these indicators here. You can see that currently you're underneath on June, the June open. You're currently trading under that. So my bias is like this. I don't care about last year, year before that, and before that, and none of that. I only care about this year, current year. Whenever I'm trading, every single day that I'm trading, I only care about current year. So if the current year is bullish, then I have a year-term bullish bias. There's your Bitcoin yearly chart. So my yearly bias on Bitcoin is I am bullish on Bitcoin. Then I drop down to a monthly time frame. What month are we in? We are in June. What does a monthly candle look like? You are currently a doji. That signals indecision on the month. We are not seeing upside continuation. We are not seeing downside continuation. What we are seeing is sideways price action. It is indecision. It's a doji, but it is red. So my line in the sand for the month of June only. Once we get into July, then I will only care about July's open. Once we get into August, so on and so forth, et cetera, et cetera. So in the month of June, because that's what the month we're currently in, we're 2 weeks of 18 days into this month, we are red. We're barely red, but we are red. So my monthly bias is near term. Yearly bias, long term. Monthly bias is near term. So anything near term, when you hear me use the word near term, it could be from month and down. Month and down. So right now, here's June's open. If price is trading above this, then near term, my bias is bullish. Long-term bias, bullish. Near term, currently, bias bearish. On the daily, if I'm looking for an intraday scalp today, like I am only looking for a trade that I want to take right this second for today. Well, where are we at on the daily range? Have we liquidated yesterday's high or low? The answer is no. If we stay under June's open, because that is also going to be today's open. So today we have a very, very cool little thesis going on here where basically we have a major line in the sand here. That line in the sand is June's open. If we're under it, we're bearish. If we're above it, we're bullish. Bullish target would be today's high if we're trading above June's open and consistently holding support above that. That means on an intraday time frame, if there is a clear and obvious support being formed at or above June's open, then we have a bullish bias. We don't today. Today, we have a bearish bias, and that target is yesterday's low. The reason yesterday's high is not the target is because we're trading under yesterday's close. All right? So that's how I get my bias every single day. Every single day. That is how I get my trend bias, in which direction I am looking to take trades. So right now I have a bearish bias on Bitcoin. We are currently trading under the intraday VWAP. That is the volume weighted average price. Every single trade that takes place on an asset is when you get a buyer matches with a seller, then you get however many contracts were executed at that price. That is volume. Your volume weighted average trades is above price. That is this white line up here. So that simply means that the sellers have ran the day. So far, the sellers have been in control of price action. Okay, so we want to have a bearish bias as long as we're under 104,645. We want to look for potential short side entries, not bullish entries unless we're up here. And then we come back down here and form support. You can find support being formed on a 1 minute, on a 5 minute, on a 30 minute. I suggest you guys watch the longer charts until you get an idea of how this works. But once you have a really good idea, once you can understand all of these aspects together, then you can watch a 1 minute or a 1 second. I don't care, because you know what you're looking for. And that's all you need to do in order to have a successful trading strategy. Have a plan, set that plan in motion, and execute that plan. Boom, that is it. Will you win trades? Yes. Will you lose trades? Yes. So you need to use a stop loss. You can, as long as you're, depending on what kind of risk management you are using, will determine how often or how frequently you are taking trades. If you're using something like a dynamic risk management strategy, when you're going into a trade with this would be an A+ setup for me, because we're currently trading above the lows, and we have a low. Volume is indicating that price is bearish. If we look at volume profile, which is a profile, it just means your volume is on the side of the chart instead of on the bottom. We're not paying attention to volume by time down here. We're looking at volume by price. As long as your point of control and value areas are above near-term price, that means whichever candle is being traded right now, that would be this candle. It has not formed yet. You still got 4 minutes left on it. But currently, price is trading under the point of control. And this value area is a very small value area. It's just something I'm trying out right now. It's a 40%. Usually it's 70%. And 70%, the value area is determined by 70% of volume was traded in that region. So as you can see, 40%, it's a much tighter area, has traded around 105.1 down to 104.7. So 40% of all the volume of the day. This is an area where we want to take short entries if resistance comes into play. So what we're looking for is we got the 2 o'clock news FET issue right here, leaves rates on hold. So they did nothing. So we're definitely bearish this. We can go to a 1 minute time frame. We can click on our volume by time if you want. I don't really use this, but you can. You don't want to care about the volume spike on the news because that doesn't mean anything. But you can watch volume by time on a 1 minute chart, because you can see, like, you don't want to necessarily jump in and buy the 3-day. This is a 3-day close down here. This is a support level. If you're coming into this, you don't want to buy it if volume is on the incline. If it's raising as price is going down, that literally means you're looking to basically jump in front of a trend, a potential trend. You need to see it stop here and then spend 20 minutes here of going sideways and then go up. And then if you get a spike of volume on the up move, then you have a potential confirmation that support is currently holding. So this is where we are looking for shorts. So this is going to be our first indication right here that we're potentially looking for a short. Remember, we're going to ignore this because this is a new spike. Look at the volume coming into this period. So it would essentially look like this being elevated. That's good because price is going up. We come here. Now we want to see if it tops out and starts to roll over, or does price break down and then we start to see an incline in volume as price is going down. Then we'll know we're on the right side of the market. I already have my short. I put my short on. I'm not shorting Bitcoin. I'm shorting Fartcoin. All right. I'm just shorting Fartcoin because Fartcoin had a nice move. This is a very, very, very illiquid shitcoin to trade. So be very careful if you are trading this or BOEM or something like that. I took a couple of successful scalps this morning on Solana. We indicated yesterday on Twitter and in the Discord that I was looking for shorts on Solana all the way this whole week. I literally said yesterday, I gave you a setup to watch. That setup played out. I gave you a profit target. Profit target was hit. Today, I said the same thing. On Fartcoin, I also put that out. If you're trading under 130, $1.30 is where I want to be short from. And we traded right up to that Monday. We traded above it for a split second, dropped back under it, entered short position, and I closed that trade out today because I knew we were going to have a volume spike on news, and I was looking for a new entry. So this way, I can essentially catch the entire move if it wants to continue to go lower. So that's where we currently are. So my short on this is at one spot 1390. It's a very small position. I'll show it to you right there. Very small position. I'm in this with $264. This is a dynamic risk management system. So if I'm right here, so basically what a dynamic risk management system is if I'm wrong, because I never know what price is going to do. I can't see into the future. It's impossible, right? This is something new that I'm trying. I used to go in heavy and then exit 2/3 of the position. That's how I still trade my normal portfolio. But on this portfolio from here on out, I'm going to have a small piece of it set aside for dynamic risk management to see if I can squeak out more profits this way. Basically, I go in with a very small portion first, so that way I just have the entry. The entry is situated. So this way, if I get a spike up and I get stopped out, because I don't have a stop, as you can see, I can just hit the exit button, and I'm not going to lose a whole 1% of my account. This is not 1% of my account. This number that you're seeing here, this ROI of 24%, that is on this amount of money. That's on that amount of money. It's 20x leverage. All right. So that is not 1% of my account. My account is about 15 grand. So it would have to be like $150 loss to be 1% of my account. But on a small position size like this, back to the dynamic risk management, I can exit it out and I will lose a much smaller portion of money instead of a whole 1%. Now, I can also follow up by adding to the position if everything looks good. So down here, if I'm going back into the 1 minute time frame, I want to see price breaking down. I'm getting that. Are we under the VWAP currently, but we're trading from above the VWAP into the VWAP? So this would be a range. It's a very shitty range because it's a very illiquid asset. But since we have this, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Since we have this range, I want to see price break down and I want to see a spike of volume, right? Price breaks down, it trades back up to the range here. I got a spike in volume there, and then I got downside continuation. So as of right now, all of this is telling me that on the very near term, the sellers are in control of price. This just essentially means that you have more sellers than you do passive buyers. So the sellers hitting the sell button, this button up here, they're clicking this, sell, 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 sell. Those guys are beating all of the limit buys, all of the limit buy orders. The sells are hitting it harder. So on the very near term, the sellers have control of price. So if this continues, I can add to my position size, right? As long as everything works out down here, then I can continue to add to that position size as it goes into my favor. And then I can wrap it up at a target. So I can add on pullbacks. Like if price is going to trade around here for a bit, which we know it is because we're trading right at the intraday VWAP. So we expect to see some form of support here. Maybe even a spike back up to my entry. If we get that, then I don't want to enter again, because then at that point I won't have a dynamic entry in place. I will have a large position size on in place. This is what I want to see. I want to see 5 minute candles closing lower. I want to see it one time framing. A one time frame is simply, let's go to Bitcoin and I'll show you what one time framing is. Right here. This is one time framing. Each candle that opens has a lower high, a lower low, and a lower close. Not one of these candles through here made a higher high. It wasn't until you got to this candle that you made a higher high. So I want to see this happen, but on a 5 minute time frame. I want to see one time framing happen on a 5 minute time frame. Something like this. Lower high, lower low, lower close, lower high, lower low, lower close, lower high, lower low, lower close, lower high, lower low, lower close. If I get that on 2 or 3 consecutive 5 minute candles on a pullback on like a smaller time frame of 1 minute, then I can jump in with a small position size and essentially put more risk into the market. Now, clearly that's going to bring my entry down, but I don't care about my entry. This does not matter to me. I'm not looking to brag to anybody about what an awesome top tick entry I got. I am trying to maximize the profitability on the portfolio, because in a choppy market, what I've noticed is I'm getting stopped out more frequently when leaving a lot of profits on the table. My strategy works really good by going in with a big full-size position and then taking profits when the market goes in my direction in a trending environment. When you're not in a trending environment, you get stopped out more often. So this is just another scalping metric that I can deploy while Bitcoin is trading sideways. If you don't know that Bitcoin is trading sideways, just pull up your daily chart and you can see that you are trading inside of May's range right here. We're trading inside of May's candle. This is May's candle. This is your May open. That's your May low. There's your May high. We're trading inside of May. So until we take out May's high and get continuation, or until we get May's low taken out and we get continuation, you are inside of May. You are an inside candle. It is a choppy candle. Choppy. Choppy. Right? We have a meme for that in the Discord. TR says, looking at ETH BTC, what levels on the monthly do you see for a take profit? ETH BTC. Well, see, you should always, before you enter a trade, always already have a profit target. You should already have like what strategy you're looking to do, and you should always have that. But looking at the monthly, I mean, you can't, like, if you're short, you can't really be like, I'm looking for this to take out this. You can, but you're going to get stopped out probably before you ever get back down here. That's a very big range. If your stop is like, if you just took the short and your stop is way up there, then you can have a profit target down there. But I mean, you're long. So the best case scenario, you've already hit your profit target, which would have been last month's high. Especially since now you're back under the open. So I'm assuming you're not looking, if you took the trade in June, you're not in profits. If you took the trade in March or May, you are potentially. But let me see, you got long since April, which is good. That's here and at the 0.017 level. So literally you bottom ticked it. You bottom ticked a very, very dangerous candle. I would take profits. I mean, yeah, that's a nice trade. That's a very good trade. I would have taken profits much sooner than that. I'm a scalper. I'm not a swing trader. When I leave a swing trade on, I've already taken my money out of the market and my stops are moved to break even and all that. I'm just letting it rock and roll. But like, yeah, I mean, you can take profits at any time. You're rejecting a yearly open level. And the asset is bearish. Like, it's bearish. You're bearish on the year, right? Now, it could be forming a reversal here. It could be. But in order for this to be classified a reversal, you need to this month right here to close up higher than last month's close. Because you already taken out last month's high. So if you just spend the rest of this month going lower and lower and lower, then you don't have an upside reversal here. You just have a spike in price. And you can see that these things will happen in a downtrend spike in price here. You took out that month and then you got downside continuation. Spike in price here, took out that month's high, downside continuation. Inside month, downside continuation, downside continuation. So you may be going to form something like this for a long period of time. You may going to do this. Then again, you've already taken out last month's high. So if you're going to get downside continuation, I would expect that to continue from here. If it is going to go lower, I don't know that it is. Remember, I cannot predict what price will do. Not ever. Not ever. Not for 1 second. There's no analysis in the world that tells any trader in the world what price is going to do. And that's always the question that I normally get from people. What should I do? What is price going to do? I don't know what price will do. But I would have already taken profits because I'm a firm believer and you got to pay yourself for taking the risk. If you take the risk, pay yourself when it goes in your direction. because there's going to be a lot of times where it doesn't. And then what about this? If this thing reverses and comes all the way back down, are you going to hold it? Why would you do that? You've been sitting in it since April. You bottom ticked it. Why watch it come all the way back to your entry? Why not go ahead and get paid for that trade? And then if you find support, say at the midpoint of this candle, and then it starts to go back up, you can take another entry and look for another upside expansion, right? That's the whole point of taking trades. If you're trying to bottom tick a wick and then ride a full-on uptrend for the rest of your life, good luck with that. You know what I mean? Good luck. It can happen. I mean, that's how some people get rich. And if it's not like a lot of money either, like there's so many things. If it's a good position and you're in profit, take it. Take some money off the table. Put it in your account so that way you can continue to grow your account. Yes, your account will grow if this keeps going higher. But we don't know that's what's going to happen here. We have no idea what's going to happen. You could deploy like a trailing stop where you're looking at weekly swing lows. Well, that's not going to help you either because you've been sideways for weeks. This isn't really good. This doesn't look really good here for bullish continuation. It looks like the sellers have stopped this thing right dead in its tracks. You're in a downtrend. You're down on the year. You're currently down on the month. Each and every day is traded on each and every day's news and decisions. So like, just because a bunch of people bought here and caused this upswing, price isn't holding up here because a lot of people bought down here. That's not how this works. This everything that's happening for today is because of what's going on today. You need just as many buyers that bought down here to buy up here to cause another one of these gigantic spikes. You need that much more capital to come into the asset and all be buyers. Like when you have a huge repricing like this, it's based on usually something macro or fundamental. It's not because of technicals. Something macro or something fundamental just popped off on ETH not too long ago. Probably because Bitcoin was weaker than Ethereum for a little while. But right now, Ethereum is more weak than Bitcoin because Bitcoin's only down 0.3% today and Ethereum is down 0.8% today. So if Ethereum continues to stay weaker than Bitcoin, this goes down. Always take profits if you're in the money. Unless you're buying to hold. If you're buying to hold, you don't have any leverage on the position or anything like that, then you just buy to hold. You buy to hold. That's what you're doing. You bought it, now you're going to hold it because you're going to become rich. Like the Bitcoin that I own in cold storage, I never sell it. I own it. It's my Bitcoin. It will be forever, even if it goes down to zero. But I'm not going to sell any more of it. I want to hold it. You know what I mean? Because it's an asset that usually grows in value over time. This ain't so much that kind of an asset. This is a trading asset. You bought Ethereum expecting it to be stronger than Bitcoin forever. When you buy something like this, that's essentially what you're saying. Because this is a cross pair. It's traded like a currency and it's a cross pair. So you bought Ethereum and you're long Ethereum because you think Ethereum is better than Bitcoin in value and in tech or whatever. However, whatever justifies your decision, that's what you're saying by getting long ETH BTC. I think ETH is a better asset. That is not Trade Talk saying that. That's you saying that. I don't believe that at all. I honestly think the opposite is true. And we can see by looking at ETH paired against the dollar, we can go really deep right? Far out and look and see what has this thing done over time. Well, to be fair, it has grown in value, but it's kind of hit basically a place where it has stalled out for the last 7 years, 6 years. You had a nice expansion in 2021 and you haven't done anything since. We know that Ethereum is not stronger than Bitcoin because we can overlay the Bitcoin price chart. So this pink is Bitcoin versus Ethereum. Clearly, Bitcoin is better over time. For now, up to this point in time. It may change in the future, maybe, but I seriously doubt it. You're not going to have the same kind of adoption on Ethereum as you are on Bitcoin because nobody's in control of Bitcoin, really. Not one person. Like, one person is in control of Ethereum's future. His name is Vitalik Buterin or whatever. Vitorian Buterin. One guy owns the company, so he can destroy the company. Bitcoin is like a collective of people. Now, sure, there's a lot of exchanges that control a huge supply of Bitcoin and Michael Saylor and stuff like that, BlackRock, but it's the same scenario. More and more people are going to adopt Bitcoin long term because of what it stands for and what it is. Its supply is set. I don't know enough about Ethereum to know if the supply on Ethereum is set and it can never grow more. But didn't Ethereum fork or something like that? Like, hasn't it already changed? So yeah, I mean, if you're holding cryptos, just please do due diligence on them. Find out what they are, what their purpose is, what the use case is, how is public adoption. It's not the same as a stock. They're far riskier, but you can make a lot of money or lose a lot of money really quick with them. That's why they are very popular to a lot of people that trade. But we just trade them here on this channel. Like, I'm just a trader. I'm a scalper. I'm looking to scalp consistent gains from these things to grow my account. I'm not looking to buy and hold them. Hopefully that helps. Hopefully I answered your question. Link to the press conference. Thanks. I'll pull it up. I'm not really that interested in listening to it. I always read it, but I will play it for you guys. I got it right here. Oh, that's the wrong link. So we'll play it here in a minute as soon as it comes on. Okay, so let's go back over here to Bitcoin. Let's get rid of the other Bitcoin. So we're not really seeing any downside continuation here. We did get a little bit of downside continuation on what I'm short up here. The fart coinage. Fart coin. Such a great coin. That has such a use case. Everybody farts, right? It's a meme coin. It's a meme token. It moves very, very fast. I bought $260 worth of it, and I'm already up $100. Like, you can double your money on these things really quick. You know what I'm saying? That's why people trade them. It's like a penny stock. Same scenario. You get a lot of them and leverage and get levered up on it, and then it moves a very little amount and you make a lot of money or lose a lot of money. But I like Bitcoin lower as long as it's below June's open. And we'll pull up the volume just to see. Volume's going to slack off here until we get the speech. We know we initially get the announcement at 2 p.m. And the announcement was they are not doing anything. They're going to stay on hold. But you're about to get a press conference, and then he's going to speak. And then we usually see them move up or down, or both up and down, usually. So it might be a little early, so I'll go ahead and take some money off of that trade. Well, actually I won't, because it's only a $200 position. $100 ain't really nothing to my account, so I'll just leave it like it is for now. All right. So that's what we're doing. We're kind of bearish here unless Bitcoin can prove to us that it can stay above today's midpoint. I'm pretty sure today's midpoint is going to be very, very close to the open of the day, which is also June's open. So we're not going to throw a fib on here. You can clearly see that. But let's see what we have down here. Let's get rid of the volume. Let's pull up our moving indicator here to tell us what kind of a target we're looking for. So Bitcoin on average is doing about a $2,900 move, right? From high to low, we've moved $1,900. So we know that there's potential to see another $1,000 worth of movement on this. The problem is from this second here, it can go up or down $1,000. Right? So we would have to do this. 104,369. So we want 104 or 105,369. And then we want 103. Let's see. No, it's not going to do that. All right. I'll just move this up. Move this down. Boom. So in a sense, we know that price can do something like this. So it does look like the lows are probably more in tune to getting tagged than the highs, the daily high. But this is all we ever look for, right? And then hopefully we get in a trend. So that's what we're looking for. That's what price does. It trades back and forth, up and down, up and down, up and down. It aggregates. It doesn't really move. It's aggregating. I say movement, it's moving, but really and truly it's aggregating. The buyers and sellers everybody's in an open auction, and the auctioneer is saying, do I got Bitcoin at 104, 104, 104.1, 104.1 over there to that guy, 104.2, 104.2, 102 to the guy, you know what I mean? That's in a sense what's going on here. No, that's why price oscillates both up and down, or aggregates both up and down. All right. Adam says, hey, what do you think about the future of the trader? Wait, what do you think about the future of the traders if AI agents will come in and trade? I don't care if AI agents come in and trade or not. I mean, my strategy works over time, so I'm going to continue to trade. I mean, unless they completely price me out of the market. And the only way they can do that is if they hamper price action to where you only get, like, say, sub 0.000.0% moves every day. Every single day. That's the only way you can price me out of the market. Is if you literally hold prices steady at one price forever. That's the only way, because I have strategies that, and I can even trade in that scenario. I can sell options. The AIs are never going to be able to price humans out of the market because the market is completely 100% random. It's random. I know people don't like that. People want to assume that there's a big fat they with quotation marks around the word they that run all this crap, and they're just trying to screw retail. That's not what's happening at all. People are literally making buying and sell decisions across the world, around the whole entire world, based on information that they're getting on every second of every day. AI is never going... Now, can they exploit edges? Of course they can, because people can. There are edges that are exploitable. Maybe some of those edges get priced out of the market, but As long as I'm profitable, I see no reason to quit trading. If you're not profitable and AI you think is getting ready to come into market, then maybe you should just be a buyer and a holder. But I don't think AI is ever going to be able to price me out of the market. I can make money if an asset moves 1%. If it moves 1%, I'll make money or lose money. But I just need it to move. AI, it can only computate what data it has. It can't think of fresh, brand new data that doesn't exist. So like, it'll never be like a human. It's never going to be able to do that. What people think about AI, I mean, it's fun to talk about conspiracy theories and how smart AI is, but it will never be able to randomly come up with its own thought. It can have a bug in the code or something like that, but it doesn't have a brain, right? Not like our brain. It's different. It's already got the stuff. It already has it. It's just got to find ways through links to link all that data up and then give itself a command. I don't think they can do it. I know AI bots make money for traders. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I don't see them pricing retail out. But there are, I mean, in things like crypto and stuff like that, it'll be very dangerous, of course, because there's already people trading against themselves in crypto. I've seen it happening today. I'll show you what it looks like. Let me go here because I posted it in the Discord. Right here. So you can see these guys are trading against themselves. Like there's zero asks there, 199 bids, 499 ask, 0 on the bid. 0 on the bid, 269,000 on the bid. This is the ask. This is the bid. Bid, ask. Bid, ask. These are liquidity providers that are just moving shares to someone to come in here on the bid. And when they see that bid number go up 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, then that person is going to lose money probably. But they're, crypto's not regulated. You're not allowed to do that in the regular markets. But yeah, this is a liquidity provider trading against themselves. Almost every tick is a positive number versus a 0 number. You see that? 0 to 11, 187 to 0. Right here, you have a trade that took place. But then you have 653 to 0, 499 to 0, 277 to 0. Look at the delta on that candle. This 776 whatever Terra's Luna was traded to 0 on the bid. It's insane. But there's literally, that means there's no liquidity. You don't trade anything like that. You're going to get hurt if you do. That's why we only trade liquid products. To stay away from crap like that. They'll be good for that kind of trading. AI will be good for that kind of stuff. Like bid-ask spread trades. They'll be good at identifying trends too. I'm not going to lie. I mean, computers can do it. Computers do a lot. So like when I'm analyzing an asset, for instance, like let's say, well, we've got the news. Let me go listen to what's his name.
swings in net exports that were driven by potentially different time horizons over which those respective gaps would be anticipated to close. For the time being, we are well positioned to wait to learn more about the likely course of the economy before considering any adjustments to our policy stance.
It's all the way up. Hopefully you can
In
hear
our
him.
SEP, FOMC participants wrote down their individual assessments of an appropriate path for the federal funds rate based on what each participant judges to be the most likely scenario going forward. The median participant projects that the appropriate level of the federal funds rate will be 3.9% at the end of this year, the same as projected in March. The median projection declines to 3.6% at the end of next year and to 3.4% at the end of 2027, a little higher than the March projection. These individual forecasts are always subject to uncertainty, and as I've noted, uncertainty is unusually elevated. And of course, these projections are not a committee plan or decision. At this meeting, the committee continued its discussions as part of our 5-year review of our monetary policy framework. We focused on issues related to assessing the risks and uncertainties that are relevant for monetary policy and the potential implications for policy strategy and communications. Our review includes outreach and public events involving a wide range of parties, including Fed Listens events around the country and a research conference that we held last month. We are open to new ideas and critical feedback, and we will take on board lessons of the last 5 years in determining our findings. We intend to wrap up any modifications to our statement on longer-run goals and monetary policy strategy by late summer. After that, we will consider enhancements to our suite of communications tools, including the SEP. The Fed has been assigned 2 goals for monetary policy: maximum employment and stable prices. We remain committed to supporting maximum employment, bringing inflation sustainably to our 2% goal, and keeping longer-term inflation expectations well anchored. Our success in delivering on these goals matters to all Americans. We understand that our actions affect communities, families, and businesses across the country. Everything we do is in service to our public mission.
I don't think the
Fed
market's going to like
do everything
this.
we can to achieve our maximum employment and price stability goals.
They're
Thank
looking
you. I look
to
forward to
only.
your questions.
He's only looking to move them. Their median projection was less than 25 basis points. He said 3.9. Well, it'd be a little bit more than, because we're at 425. The market was pricing in 2 cuts. 2 cuts by the end of the year. They're only looking at one 25-point basis cut, and then another 25 basis cut point. They're talking about doing 30. Like 35 basis points. So there's a little bit of a discrepancy there.
Thank you. Colby Smith with the New York Times. To what extent has the more limited impact from tariffs at this stage on inflation changed your view on what the ultimate economic fallout will be from these policies and the timing of when they will materialize in the data?
There's not going to be any economic fallout, and it's not going to raise the inflation. Inflation has been consistently trending lower all year long. As long as it continues to trend lower, then...
So we've had 3 months of favorable inflation readings since the high readings of January and February, and that's, of course, highly welcome news. Part of that just is that services, core services, both housing services and non-housing services, have really been grinding down toward levels that are consistent with 2% inflation. So that's the good news. We've had goods inflation just moving up a bit, and of course we expect, as you point out, we do expect to see more of that over the course of the summer. It
Why?
takes some time for tariffs to work their way through the chain of distribution to the end consumer.
Goods.
A good example of that would be goods being sold at retailers today may have been imported several months ago before tariffs were imposed.
Right.
So we're beginning to see some effects, and we do expect to see more of them over coming months. We do also see price increases in some of the relevant categories like personal computers and audiovisual equipment and things like that that are attributable to tariff increases. In addition, we look at surveys of businesses, and there are many of those, and you do see a range of things, but many companies do expect to put all or some or all of the effective tariffs through to the next person in the chain, and ultimately to the consumer.
Right. If anything,
Today,
I'd see it probably make more of an impact in 2026 than it will
Their
in
duration and the time it will
2025.
take are all highly
Second half of the
uncertain.
year,
So
here.
that is why we think
We'll be
the
here
appropriate
soon.
thing to do is to hold where we are as we learn more. And we think our policy stance is in a good place where we're well positioned to react to incoming developments.
You need to go
In terms
lower.
of how we should interpret the rate cuts penciled into the SEP, is this reflecting that there's this expectation that underlying inflation will just stay well enough contained that allows the committee to eventually move ahead with those cuts? Or is it about, responding to a deterioration in economic activity, let's say? I mean, how should we make sense of the forecast?
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? That's what being data dependent means. That's what they always are every single time they do one of these. Are you new? Are you new? Oh my God.
If you look at the forecast, you will see that people do generally expect inflation to move up and then to come back down. But we
She's
can't
new,
just
guys.
assume
Leave
that.
her
Of course,
alone.
we don't know that. And, our job is to make sure, one of our jobs is to make sure that a one-time increase
S&P's moving
in
up.
inflation doesn't turn into an inflation problem. And that, again, that will depend on the size
This
of
is
the
your
effects,
ES
how
futures.
long it
This
takes
is your
for them to come in,
NASDAQ
and
futures on a
ultimately
5-minute time
on
frame.
keeping inflation
NASDAQ daily,
expectations down.
ES daily, Tesla, Apple, MSFP, NVIDIA.
Hi, and thanks.
Daily,
Chair
NVIDIA,
Howard
daily,
Stein with Reuters.
Microsoft.
If you look at the
And then your advanced decline line is nice and bullish today. So that could affect shorts.
Time horizon you've got there. You've taken about a quarter
Very
point
much.
a year out of your projected path, and you ended a higher rate at end 2027 than you would have in the prior forecast. Is that a result of a sense that tariffs will lead to more persistent inflation? Is it a result of reassessments of where your short-term neutral rate is?
June.
Time. And what you
It just
see is
came back. I don't know if the stream died or not. It might have died.
You say in the statement that
All
risks have
right.
diminished.
The
on that
internet just
front,
dropped off.
but,
I have a
the
wireless
July
router.
9th,
It dropped off for a
drop-dead date
second.
For
We're
all
back.
the Liberation Day tariffs is still out there and unresolved. You've got now exchange of missiles between two Middle East adversaries with a possible U.S. involvement. How can you justify saying that risks have diminished?
So what we said was that uncertainty uncertainty about the economic outlook has diminished but remains elevated. Many surveys say that. They do. So, and that's
Yeah, Bear.
that's actually
Yeah,
a
we're
line
back.
from the teal
We're
market,
watching the
which we've seen
June
5 years.
open here on Bitcoin. This is the
Remember to check
level that
that.
I want to be short from.
No, but if you
But
think about
the
it,
ADD is very
uncertainty-
bullish.
Uncertainty really peaked. in
ADD
April,
is very,
and since
very
then
bullish.
Has come down, and that's really
This
what
could
that's just
cause an
acknowledging.
issue
It's diminished
for
but still
Bitcoin. You
elevated.
can see ES
It's
futures is
uncertainty,
popping
so I
here
think
above
that's an accurate
VWAP.
statement.
NASDAQ popping above VWAP. I want to see these things stay
Thank
under
you.
VWAP
Chris
for
Rugaber, Associated
Bitcoin
Press.
weakness.
There is an argument out there in favor of cutting rates more immediately. Inflation has continued to
Cumulative
cool and
volume
back
is
to
bearish.
roughly 2% despite the tariffs. And I guess I also wanted to ask about, cracks
We're
in the
still
job
under the
market,
VWAP
with
for
gross hiring
Bitcoin.
slowing,
Everything looks okay for
concentrated in
bearish
just a few
entries.
industries.
I'm not
We've
saying
seen
you're not
some
going to
housing
see a
data,
spike, and I'm
including
not
this
saying that
morning
it's
that's
not
been
going to
pretty
go
weak.
up. It could
do you
go
see
up.
any concerns that the economy is weakening?
Figured the
and there's
market
a
would
reason
not
to
like
cut rates,
Their median
going forward.
projections for rate cuts,
So
but
we do,
we'll
we
see
do, of course,
over
monitor all
time.
those things. I think if you look at the overall picture, what you're seeing is 4.2% unemployment and an economy that's growing at a rate hard
I
to
need
know
to get a
given
new
the
modem thing.
unusual flows in the first quarter, but it appears to be 1.5%, 2%, maybe a little better than that. Sentiment has come up off of its very low levels. It's still depressed. So you can point to things. The housing market is a longer run problem and also a short run problem. I don't think it's indicative of basically the situation is we have a longer run shortage
Yeah, Apple
of
looks
housing.
good for lower.
And we also have high rates right now. I think the best thing we can do for the housing market is to restore price stability in a sustainable way and create a strong labor market. And that's the best thing we can do for the housing market. You asked about the job market. Again, look at labor force participation, look at wages, look at job creation. They're all at healthy levels now. I would say you can see perhaps a very, very slow continued cooling, but nothing that's troubling at this time. But we watch it very, very carefully. So overall, again, the current stance of monetary policy leaves us well positioned to respond in a timely way to economic developments, and for now, and we'll be watching the data carefully.
Well, just quickly on, given that, there are
The bulls
concerns
are
inflation
definitely
will
putting
rise,
up a
but there is
fight
the
here.
alternate scenario that tariffs would create demand destruction and slow growth sufficiently.
Here's
and
that 3-day support that I was referencing, this level right here. If you look at, we just closed the 3-day candle yesterday. It was a very important closure for me. I was I did take longs yesterday right in this area where it says absorbed. I was watching intraday and I got long there, but we couldn't stay above the daily open, so I closed that position out. But it was just for a scalp. If we continue to close the next 3-day candle, which will be in 2 days, above this price of 104, then I can still kind of be bullish, but my monthly bias would still be bearish. It would just be like on the very near term, if this level holds, then maybe I could put on a small scalp long, but mainly, more or less, my bearish right now is definitely, or my bias is definitely bearish on the near term and on the monthly term, as long as we're below June. When we close dailies under the 21 exponential moving average, that's when I shift my near-term bias to be more bearish. But we're still well above the weekly and all that, you know what I mean? Still very much trending up. And if you look at this weekly, it does look like every single weekly low has been bought up. So it's just a matter of time that the buyers continue to do that. It essentially soaks up all the asks, and then price will reprice higher. But if we break down through all this, which there is a possibility here of breaking down through all of it, you can see there's still quite a bit of liquidity to liquidate on the downside, especially today. So maybe if we grab this stuff, it'll start to trade higher. It's kind of like, obviously this is more bullish than bearish, but I hate the fact that Bitcoin is stalling out at all-time highs. I really, really hate that. I do not like that at all. But you can see how you can't really put in any lows here. And then in cumulative delta volume is showing us that it's going lower. So what we need to see here now is we need to see this thing break down out of this little formation on a volume spike, and then see downside continuation. But we would kind of need the other markets to be with us on that. And the advanced decline line is very bullish right now. So here's your advanced decline line. I can show you via Market Watch. It's kind of bullish. And then if you look, that's the heat map. If you look at the index, we'll just look at the S&P 100, because that's the 100 biggest companies in the S&P 500. You can see it's more skewed to be advanced side instead of the decline side. So that is typically more bullish. MasterCard, PayPal, and Verizon, not really big movers. Those are the only things that are really taking a hit today. So I want to see the S&P, the ES futures. This is a 5-minute chart. 5-minute chart on the NASDAQ. I want to see both of these break below this purple line and start to trend lower. And that would help our short position. Can we check the best alt known as Fartcoin? Yeah, that's the best altcoin for sure. That's what I'm short. I'm short Fartcoin because it moves good up there. Very small position until we start to see Bitcoin start declining again. And then I'll add to that. But as far as your Fartcoin here, you're under VWAP. You've been pretty much consistently stayed under that all day. for today. You can see it's a very illiquid asset, so it's hard to get in with limit orders at big positions. It's very dangerous, very thin liquidity. It trades like, what, 25 to 50 million shares a day or fart coins a day. It's a meme stock or a meme token, not stock. So it's only meant to be a meme. It's a joke. And Doge is too. So people are just, you can see they're just basically giving each other, everybody's just trading money back and forth. Some days the buyers are winners, some days the sellers are. I have a bearish bias on Fartcoin. I've had a bearish bias on Fartcoin since 130. If we failed to get any bullish momentum above that, I had a bearish bias. And we've nailed this entire move lower from 130 down to where it is now. It's only been a couple days, but I am expecting it to come back and test the yearly opening range at some point. On a monthly basis, you're still barely bullish. So you've given back a lot. The danger zone or danger Will Robinson zone for the bulls on this is going to be down around that 786. So you really don't want to see Fartcoin lose this region. Otherwise, you've lost your monthly VWAP of May's range. That threatens May's lows. Right? You've already taken out May's lows. That'll threaten June's lows again if you lose this. So, I mean, if you're holding this long term, hoping for it to spike up to $20 a coin, I think you're like it's a gamble. It looks like the sellers have basically been able to keep this thing under $1.40 or $1.50. I mean, the fact that it's $1.50 says craziness to me. I think it's got zero use case. So eventually it goes like down. But of course you're going to have intermittent spikes that will liquidate a lot of short sellers, especially those that are levered up. But yeah, don't really care too much about it, but I do like trading it because it's a big mover. It's up 1.5% right now on the daily range. Fartcoin is. And this thing can move 5 to 10% every day. So if it's up 1%, there's still a pretty good sized down move that can come out of this. So today's lows could for sure get taken out if the sellers show up. And I do believe they will, because the Fed's not their mean projection is only 30 basis points. And the market participants were expecting at least 50 this year, right? If we go look at September, they were expecting down to 425 in September. And then if you go further and look into December, you're down 375. That's a 50 basis point rate cut. If their median projection is 3.9, then the market's not going to get their 225 basis point rate cuts that they want this year. Hence, I'm short Fartcoin. All right? Yeah, boy. We short the Fartcoin. Gold looks like it's trying to break out to the upside if anybody's still trading gold or holding it long. Clearly, I thought it was going to roll over here. It did not. It instead got a big spike up. I think this is hurting Bitcoin breakout potential. I think they started to run out of gold, and then it looks like they came back. Because Bitcoin made a run for the border, and then it got out, broke out above, and instead of us seeing that upside continuation that we normally see on Bitcoin, we dropped right back into the range, and we've been sideways ever since. I do not like that. As far as long-term is concerned, I do like that. Like if we put in something like this, kind of a consolidation, then we could see potentially another breakout run. So maybe that's all that's happening right here. It's just putting in a longer term consolidation, and then we'll see a breakout and run. My main concern with Bitcoin right now, via on a cyclical rate, if we go look at seasonals on Bitcoin, I did tweet about this the other day. Hang on, I gotta refresh this freaking page. If we go look at the seasonals and we just go back to 2020, this is where we currently are, right here, 2025. We're only up 9.84% on the year. 2021 was a cycle that we basically were about the same place during the same time, and then we took off. But these other cycles in here, like the 2024 cycle, the 2023 cycle, Bitcoin is lagging severely. At the same time, like 2022, you were up 60%. 2023, you were up 58%. 2024, we were already up 47%. 2025, we're up a paltry 9%. So you can clearly see that it's lagging. Well, 2022, sorry, that was negative 60. That's this cycle down here. So it is lagging. 2021 was the year that it ultimately rolled over. So, I mean, I'm not saying that Bitcoin's going to roll over this year because we got too many ETFs and stuff now. I think that's going to basically hurt what used to be a 4-year cycle model. I mean, nobody really looks at 4-year cycle models anymore. As far as Bitcoin being a valuable asset to buy, I think people will always buy oversold RSIs on the weekly time frame with Bitcoin. I think you will have that until quantum computing is a thing, where it's actually being used in certain applications. Right now, it's just barely, they're just getting breakthroughs on it. But if they start getting more breakthroughs to where it's starting to become like, they can like build an application for it, it's probably going to hinder Bitcoin severely. Until that time comes, I think Bitcoin is a good buy on an oversold RSI on a weekly time frame. So anytime you get oversold on your RSI, you should pick some Bitcoin up, because consistently that has been a very good place to be a buyer on Bitcoin. It doesn't catch the exact lows, but it does a really good job of catching lows. I would have loved to buy Bitcoin at $5,000 when we were oversold down here. I would have loved to be a buyer on Bitcoin at $20,000. And we haven't hit oversold since. So an oversold reading is probably due. A lot of people disagree with that sentiment. But we'll see. I mean, time will tell, right? I'm not bearish on Bitcoin because I don't like it. I'm just bearish on Bitcoin on the near term because it's below the June open. And on the daily time frame, I'm only bearish because we're under the 21. So that's it. Like, it's a technical thing. We're actually starting to see a little bit come off here. Not that, over here. We're actually starting to see the NASDAQ fall off and the S&P fall off. That's good. ADD's falling off a little bit. That's also good. You can see NVIDIA's taking a hit. Yep, it's all right. It's back. Yeah, I don't know why it keeps dropping. It's literally not dropping frames. It's this wireless connector thing keeps shutting off and then coming back on. I should have restarted the computer. Yeah, we're gonna wrap this up because that's the second time that's happened, and I don't know how often it's gonna happen now. It was happening earlier this morning. It looks like we did get a low day test on Bitcoin while I was running my chops right there. So if you were short from the June open down to the low day, kudos to you. What's not quite a low day yet? Yeah, it is. That's Tuesday. Yeah, that was your low day. You just made a fresh low day. Fartcoin has not, but we're going to add to that position right here in a bit. One spot, 11205. I'm going to add to that short. It's going to bring my cost basis down a little bit, but still above the VWAP. And that's basically what I want to stay above. I want my entry to stay above that. As long as my entry stays above the VWAP, then my trade is safe. And that's what, I mean, you're still up on Fartcoin. So if you miss the Bitcoin scalp lower, now clearly it can be bought up down here, but I honestly don't think the market's going to like this Fed meeting today. I think they were pricing in a 50 basis point move, and we're only getting that 30. So I think you can short something like Fartcoin because it's still up on the day. That's the only reason. It's up on the day. Bitcoin is down. Ethereum is down. Bitcoin's not down a full % yet, but it probably will be by the end of the day. BOEM, another asset that I like to trade because it moves a lot. It's down 1.4%. BOEM can move down another 3 or 4% today easily. So if you want to short BOEM, I like BOEM and Fartcoin to short for the scalp on the day. And then make sure you set a stop loss somewhere safe. Please do not hold the short if you're losing money. Please don't do that. That is not the right way to trade. The right way to trade is to keep your entry above price if you're short. You want your entry below price if you're long. If you're trying to buy Bitcoin, where can you be a buyer? I'm